Hey, welcome back to Socialette. This is episode 245. Now, I'm really excited about today's episode because it's something I feel like we need to be talking about a lot more. Now, hands up if you've ever dealt with imposter syndrome. I can't see your hands, but I'm guessing there's probably a few of you because certainly something I deal with. And I feel like if you're in business and you say you've never felt imposter syndrome of some kind, well, you're a rarity. Seriously, I would love to hear from you because you're doing something amazingly well. I feel like it's definitely something we all deal with, but nobody really talks about it. And like even outside of the business world, I remember when I was just out of uni and I was in my old corporate job and I got invited along to my first ever client meeting. And all I could think about was how I just didn't know enough to belong in the room. And I was so terrified that the client would ask me a question that I wouldn't be able to answer. Now, imposter syndrome shows up differently for everyone, but it's still there. And personally, it's something I have to work through pretty much on a daily basis. I have got a lot better at dealing with it, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't affect me at all. Now, this episode, I'm getting real with you guys. I'm sharing 3 major ways that imposter syndrome shows up for me. And if it's something that you struggle with it as well, I would love to hear from you. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. As always, you can find me there at stephtaylor.co. Okay, so the first way that imposter syndrome shows up for me is I feel it about my age. Now, this is such a weird one, but it's probably the most significant one for me personally. And it's something I've never really talked about, not on this podcast, not on social media. I've only really ever talked about it with business friends. So I'm 27, right? And that makes me at least 5 to 15 years younger than most of my audience. I know the majority of you are in that kind of age bracket. And that triggers that feeling of, well, why on earth would somebody want to learn from someone so young? Obviously, they're going to think that I'm young and I'm stupid and I have no idea what I'm talking about, that I have no idea how to run a business. And that to me is how the biggest way that imposter syndrome shows up in my business. And also this is the first time I've actually publicly said on this podcast or anywhere in public that I'm 27. That's how old I am. And that was really bloody scary because straight away my brain's like, don't tell them how old you are. They're going to think you're stupid and you're young and you don't have enough business experience. Which leads me to the second way that I feel imposter syndrome, and that is about my experience. Now, I think this one's a pretty common one. I'm sure I'm not the only one who deals with this kind of imposter syndrome. I worry a lot that I don't know enough and that people will think I'm not experienced enough. But in some ways, this has been a really good form of imposter syndrome because it's pushed me to learn as much as I can. It's pushed me to do all of the courses, find as many mentors as I can, attend all of the events, all of the conferences, because I know that's what most people in my industry aren't doing. So it's really encouraged me to, build up that experience. Although, no matter how much I learn, that feeling of not knowing enough is still there. It still persists. The third way that imposter syndrome shows up for me is when I'm meeting successful people. Now, at the time of recording this, I recently just returned from an event in LA where I got to meet 2 people who have really impacted my business journey. And those 2 people were Amy Porterfield and James Wedmore. And talking to both of them in person, I felt so conscious of the fact that I was taking up their time. I felt like I was wasting their time. There was nothing I could offer them. I wasn't good enough to be talking to them, that they would be bored talking to me. I felt like I wasn't worthy of their time. And this often shows up for me as well when I'm interviewing somebody on my podcast. I try to keep the chit chat to a bare minimum. You've probably noticed that. And because I just don't want to waste their time, right? Because obviously there's nothing they could ever possibly learn from me. That's what my brain's telling me, right? So there we go. There you have it. 3 ways that imposter syndrome shows up for me in my business. If it's something you deal with, please let me know on Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. As always, take a screenshot of this podcast. You can share it in your stories, anything like that. I really do appreciate it when you guys share this show. It does mean a lot to me. Likewise, when you share a rating and a review in iTunes or Apple Podcasts, I read them all. And if you haven't already subscribed to the show, make sure you hit the purple subscribe button so you don't miss any new episodes released every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All right, that's it from me, guys. Catch you next time.